Welcome back. Dan Ohlweiler is here with Sterling Financial Advisors. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Ken. How
Always
are you?
good to see you.
Good to see you. A little bit wet today.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't. It's funny at our house. It wasn't drizzling. I know you live up that way as well, but
yeah, it was drizzling.
Yeah, it was.
You know.
Yeah, where we were, it was a little damp, but
it's always
that's
good
okay.
to get some moisture.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Well, we're talking about 5 retirement mistakes you are likely making.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
You know, it's brought up.
And some of these are, we got a lot of folks here who maybe not retired yet. I think there's
Correct.
plenty that
Right.
aren't.
Right.
Some are just starting. But these are good advice for everyone. And
We hope.
yeah.
Yeah. The first one is people try to wing it in retirement. You know, they don't really make a plan, or they hope that they have enough money. We constantly have people asking, well, do you have enough money? Do I have enough money to retire? I say, tell me when you're going to die. I'll tell you if you have enough money. You know,
Right.
and it really determines on how much you spend. You know, you can have $500,000 and spend $3,000 a month, and you're getting $2,000 from Social Security. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, right.
But if
right.
you have $1 million and you're spending $10,000 a month and you're getting $2,000 from Social Security, things might be a little bit tight, even though you have more money.
Right.
So it all depends on your spending habits. But winging it generally isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's something that, depending where you are at this point,
Right.
Maybe you're in the midst of that.
Right.
But planning for that ahead of time. I think one of the hardest things, living in this, obviously living where we do, is if you're still working, is, things cost more here in California.
We have a lot of people that come in, and we do set up a plan for them, and they said, well, to be honest with you, we're going to plan on downsizing and
Right.
moving to another state where I can sell my property or my residence here and buy for cash.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a lot, we get that a lot, and so things change in retirement.
Right,
You know, one of the other things that they talk about in this article is we sometimes underestimate the length of how long we're going to live.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The average life expectancy right now is about 79. That's the average. They took a survey a few years back, and a baby born in 2012 was going to live to 79. Women are a little bit higher, men are a little bit lower, but but they've also done a survey, and they studied 100 couples from ages 65 to 95.
Okay.
And they wanted to find out of those 100 couples, each couple, how many out of that each couple would be alive 30 years later at 95. At age 75, 10 years later, 99% of them, at least one of the couples was still living.
Right.
85, it was 84%.
Wow.
95, it was 34%. So 1 in 3 people in that survey are going to live to 95. And so we sometimes underestimate how long we're going to live. When we do our planning and retirement weather report that we've talked about before, we estimate 30 years.
Yeah.
And if you're 65, we estimate to 95, and if you're 75, we estimate to 95 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And so we would rather estimate and plan for 95 and have you pass away at 90 than we would estimate at 85 and have you pass away at 90.
Right.
So it's important not to underestimate your life expectancy.
Right. Here's a good one. You forget about inflation. Prices always go up. They never go down in general,
We always talk to people, they say, well, we've got Social Security and a pension, and our RMDs are taken, but they don't plan their monthly expenses around inflation. So in our plan, we're always plugging in, and if you need $6,000 a month right now, 20 years from now, you might need $8,000 or $9,000 a month. And so we plug that into our planning process and let them see, okay, based upon certain scenarios, we need to add inflation in. I've talked about this in our seminars. There's 3 phases we talk about in retirement. The first phase is from 65 to 75. We call that our go-go years. Those are the years you're out traveling, doing those, a lot of expenses at that time. 75 to 85 is called our slow-go years. We start slowing down, maybe only taking 1 trip a year instead of 2 or 3. 85 to 95, we call it our no-go years. You know, you just aren't spending as much money. Unfortunately, people think, well, I'm not going to spend as much money at 85 or 90 that I am at 65. Well, unfortunately, healthcare comes into play. And that's one of the things people don't think about sometimes in our planning process. That, oh, well, if I need $6,000 a month, I'll only need $5,000 a month at age 85 or 90. Well, sometimes our travel expenses are shifted into medical costs. And so you don't want to underestimate, you know, I think the article talks about the average retiree will end up spending $285,000 minimum on you know, healthcare issues.
So, and that's despite having Medicare.
That's you know, those are the other out-of-pocket costs and things like that. So, you know, you don't want to underestimate that, and don't think that because you're getting older, you're not going to spend as much money as you did, because you're shifting that money from, you know, travel expenses, prescriptions, or whatever it is, you know, knee replacements or whatever it might be. You know, so you always want to probably plug in, you know, inflation into your calculations.
You know, I think, you know, one of the, I guess you could call it advantage, or, you know, depending how you look at it, of living where we do, that if people do want to move out of state, generally moving from this area to somewhere else, they have the advantage of.
I've always said you're better off moving away than you are into California. You know. You know,
they in general, or if they're moving from, you know, some other big metropolitan area, generally they are going to be able to get something.
We've had clients move to Arizona or Washington or whatever. I always tell them though, go to Arizona in August. Make sure that it's going to fit for what you're trying to do. Now, if you're going to be a snowbird or come back out of the summer or whatever it might be, that's okay. But make sure that go to, if you're going to move to Colorado, go there in January. You know, so you know what what you can expect.
Or if you want to move to Georgia, go there in midsummer.
Exactly. And so if you're going to do. Interestingly enough, we have a client really that they sold their house and bought an RV, and for the next 3 years they're just traveling around the country, and he says at the end of that time we're going to buy another house and settle down, but we want to. This is one of our bucket lists, you know? And so, you know, they'll have an opportunity to visit different areas of where they want to end up settling, you know, and so I thought that was a pretty good idea if you can live out of an RV for 3 years, you know, you can kind of find the areas that you like to be and move there, but you're always much better moving from California to another state, unless it's New York. The housing there is probably just as bad.
So, that's true.
At least New York City. I don't know about the
upstate
know,
is pretty nice, but that you deal with the harsh winters up there. Now, another one, you make your retirement plan and never look at it again.
We have people come in and we set up a plan for them, and we never see them again. You know, and other people are much more diligent in coming in for their annual reviews, but. We have people that come in and they've got a lot of investments that they purchased 8, 10, 12 years ago that they haven't looked at before. You know, and maybe some older annuity contracts or whatever need to be upgraded or updated, and so you can get better rates. And so it's one thing to get your legal documents in order, those types of things, but on your investments, you want to make sure that you're updating those from time to time. Don't become what we call married to your tools. You know, you want to be able to make shifts along the way as things change, and don't just get a plan in place and think you're okay. You know.
And you know, I think that it sometimes is true just in as people get older, is who you might have your auto insurance with,
Right.
or whatever it might be.
Right.
If you get complacent in things like that, whatever it might be, maybe you have a bunch of subscriptions
Right.
you forgot about. I'm not talking about, you have subscriptions to this service that you used to like, and this service and that, and you find you don't even use them anymore. To look at that, it may only be a difference of $30 a month, but
Right.
that's $30 a month.
Well, we actually fall into this sometimes ourselves, or
Yeah,
our company,
yeah.
that we actually were reviewing some of our client files and realized some of our older clients have had some older annuity contracts that have been in place for 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have done a survey, and we can actually improve their situation.
Sure, yeah.
And a lot of them have said, we appreciate you keeping an eye out for us, of updating us and
Yeah.
keeping those on board. And so it's a constant effort to try to make sure that we're staying on top of things, but also the clients are staying
Yeah.
on top of things.
Yeah.
So once you get your plan in place, it makes sense to maybe do an annual or a semi-annual updating on that.
Okay, very good. Seminars coming up?
We just finished one last week. We've got one on Monday. It's full, but we have one in July. There are a couple in July that are
Okay.
coming up, and they can call us if they'd like to. And
All right.
set that up.
Very good. You can always call their office, 949-859-5900, sterlingfa.com, if you'd like to look at their website and find out information there, and maybe set up a time to talk to them.
We had somebody come to one of our seminars last week, in fact, and he says, "I've seen you on TV." And I said, "You must be in Laguna Woods."
Yeah, well, very good. I'm glad we can help. Dan,
Good to see you.
good to see you. Take care.
All right, take care.
And we'll be right back.